Hello, my name is Eric Fox, Chief Economist at Veros Real Estate Solutions.
And I'm Reena Agrawal, Research Economist at Veros Real Estate Solutions. Welcome, everyone, to this edition of the RiskWire Webcast. So, the defining feature of 2023's housing market was the low supply that was happening. Why did that low supply happen? We all know COVID happened. We all know about the Fed's interest rate policy. But did something beyond that happen to make this low supply occur in the housing market?
That's a really interesting question, Reena. And what most people don't realize is that this low housing supply was already happening even before COVID and even before the Fed reduced interest rates to their historically low levels around 3%. If we look at historic housing supply in the United States from back in the mid 80s until today, what we find is that it historically ranges between 2 and 3 million units are on the market for sale at any given point in time. Now, the lone exception for that is back immediately after the financial crisis in 2007, 2008, when it gapped up to over 4 million units on the market, and we know what happened then to prices. But if we exclude that, from about 2012, we were back in the historic 2 million range. But what we find is that between 2012 and 2019, the actual supply of housing declined from about 2 million units down to 1.5 million units. And one of the primary reasons for that is that the baby boomers were starting to retire in 2012, and they just picked up steam as we went into the latter part of the 20-teens. So in 2019, before COVID, we were down at a fairly low 1.5 million homes on the market. So this was already happening. So you mentioned the Fed, and you also mentioned COVID at making this worse. So what are your thoughts about that, Reena?
So before I talk about the Fed and COVID, I found this interesting statistic that almost every day, 10,000 of the baby boomers are turning 65 and retiring. So what is happening really is their homes are splitting into two homes or more than two because as their adult children move out or are tending towards that, they split from one housing unit to two or three, and so that is multiplying the demand for housing. And when you talk about COVID, what happened is we all know remote work was made possible. People who were living in expensive rental homes were moving out of these big cities into small cities like Boise, Idaho, or small towns in Texas and Florida. So that increased demand for housing. And then the low rates. Fed pursued a policy of decreasing their interest rates. So what happened was mortgage rates went even below 3%. And a whole bunch of homeowners who had higher mortgage rate contracts, they signed into these low mortgage rate contracts. And now around 70% of all mortgage owners have a contract rate of less than 4%. And they are not willing to trade in that low contract rate for the current 6.67% interest rate. So they are locked into their homes. So this COVID and the Fed's policy kind of exacerbated what was happening with the baby boomers. And so what do you think? Is this situation going to ease in the current year or the next? Are we going to see more of the same? Any thoughts about that?
I think, unfortunately, the bad news is things aren't going to get better. As you rightly point out, a lot of people are still locked in with interest rates less than 4%. And good luck trying to get them to put their house onto the market unless they absolutely have to. sell their house and then buy another house where they have a mortgage of 7%. There's not a lot of people willing to do that with the rate differential. And we really don't see interest rates coming down dramatically from where they are at their current levels in the high 6s and low 7s. I think the second thing is that baby boomers are just getting going, starting to retire. Adult children moving out, forming households that are smaller. Baby boomers, average household size for those 60 and over is only about 2.1 people per household, whereas those 59 and under, average household size is 3.2 persons per household. So this is just getting going. Unfortunately, it's not going to be getting better. So really, we would be relying on builders to provide more supply, and that is going to be, gradual and coming. So I feel that the supply situation that we have, where right now in the United States, we are actually down around 1 million houses that are currently on the market. We've even been down into the 800,000 or 900,000 range, which is extremely low. So I don't see this easing anytime soon.
Well, you're right about that. I think so too, that in 2024, we are going to see pretty much what we saw in 2023. There is some talk that mortgage rates are going to tumble down below 5% or in that range. I don't see that happening anytime soon. So I think we are going to stay in that locked in position with the housing supply. And as you said, good luck finding a home that is affordable also.
Thank you very much for your thoughts, Rena. My name is Eric Fox.
And I'm Reena Agrawal. See you next time.